He said you went to Princeton.
Yeah, for undergrad.
Wow, what did you study?
Politics.
Politics?
Yeah.
Wow, so I know what side you're on.
What does that mean?
I saw your Instagram.
Yeah.
You had pronouns in your bio.
Oh.
Yeah. Why did you feel like people wouldn't know you're a man?
I did that so other people would feel comfortable, sharing their pronouns.
Oh, so you want people to share it with you?
I think that
you want to make them feel like included.
Exactly. So if you see someone else sharing their pronouns, you feel more empowered to share yours if yours may not align to what people might expect.
Beautifully said.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Okay. That's cool. So you're on the left.
See, I don't know what that means.
You study politics.
No, but you say the left, and then that means so much these days, and so that doesn't mean I'm not ticking 30 boxes by
Just
so
20.
Hey there, and welcome to another podcast episode of Tacos and Shawarma with your hosts, Alan and Sebastian. Today we're here with model Mariya Allen Velez and actor-host Shaka Smith. How are you guys doing today?
Great, how are you?
Wonderful, great. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. Originally, you're from Miami, right? And you're from New York.
Yes.
A small town, not
not
the borough,
city.
not the boroughs.
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
It is a difference.
How long have you guys been in LA?
A little, a year and a couple of weeks.
Oh, you're still really new,
Yeah.
fresh.
She's a baby, and you already hate it? She told me she hated it.
Yeah, I
Oh,
hated
no.
it since I moved here.
Oh,
but
no.
I think it's really just the
price?
people. No, not the price. I paid way more in Miami
To
for
live
rent.
here?
Yeah. I lived in a model house, so I had free rent here. So that was the least of my worries. But I think the people were the worst part about here, and just trying to find my people. And I just don't think LA is very beautiful. I don't know. It's just dry and homeless people everywhere and just crusty.
Jeez.
This is my
man.
opinion.
Yeah.
Find her on Yelp. How long have you been here, Shaka?
10 years. Yeah.
Oh, wow. You've been here for a while, too.
Yeah.
You consider yourself a native yet?
Well, no, because I'm always going to be from Miami. So, but yeah, I'm I'm in the scene. I'm here.
Here to stay.
Yeah, here to stay.
He said you went to Princeton.
Yeah, for undergrad.
Wow, what did you study?
Politics.
Politics?
Yeah.
Wow, so I know what side you're on.
What does that mean?
I saw your Instagram.
Yeah.
You had pronouns in your bio.
Oh.
Yeah. Why did you feel like people wouldn't know you're a man?
I did that so other people would feel comfortable, sharing their pronouns.
Oh, so you want people to share it with you?
I think that
You want to make them feel like included?
Exactly. So if you see someone else sharing their pronouns, you feel more empowered to share yours if yours may not align to what people might expect.
Beautifully said.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Okay, that's cool. So you're on the left.
See, I don't know what that
You
means.
study
'cause,
politics.
No, but you say the left, and then that means so much these days, and so that doesn't mean I'm not ticking 30 boxes by So
Just 20.
I don't know. It depends on what your definition of the left or the right is, or what particular subject you're looking at. I would say for a while I considered myself conservative.
Really?
Yeah, I went to a conservative law school.
No way.
Yeah, so we had Scalia there, we had Clarence Thomas,
How did that shift?
I thought that some of the policies that I was told were conservative weren't aligning with what was actually being passed, Chief of them was conservative fiscal policy. That was the whole thing, was monetary policy. And then you just realized even conservatives were printing money like nothing. And so that to me was And then I just saw on social issues where they were saying that should be left to the states. Now all of a sudden they wanted the federal government to step in on certain things. So to me, it just wasn't aligning with what they had espoused the conservative platform to be.
Why didn't you bring him on with Vince?
We had Vince Dow, a conservative commentator.
Oh my God, that would have been good.
And now we'll have to have you back with Vince in a later
He
episode.
doesn't live out here. He lives in Florida.
What law school did you go to?
George Mason.
Okay,
And so,
nice.
yeah,
Wow.
I started the first conservative, decidedly conservative newspaper at the law school. And I highlighted Black conservatives. I wanted to show people that this is an inclusive party. And then slowly it started to feel not as inclusive as I thought it was, or at least as it was being brought out to me. And so that kind of shifted me away, but more to like independence. And even then I was sort of conservative, but independent, you know?
Wow. So, and then you just switched up.
Not
Because do you feel like you're still conservative?
I feel like I'm still conservative. I just feel like the party, like the at least Republican Party, doesn't stand for those conservative values.
Wait, so how are you conservative but like believe in pronouns?
Because I don't think that's part of conservatism. It never was. Like social issues were never part of the conservative movement. It was about how the rights that states have versus the federal government, and then what the federal government does with their monetary policy. That's how, that's how it was kind of brought to me, and that this is the movement. That's what it is. And then it started to expand to just all these different things. And it was just like, what?
But like more, I think the point I'm trying to make is that like liberals are more into like the inclusiveness of pronouns and things like that.
Yeah. I just think it's a human thing for me. Like including people is like, as a person, that's what I want to do, is include people. I want people to feel welcome.
So do you think there's more than two genders then? Do you believe that? Or you're just like, all right, whatever you are, it's cool. Like, I'll just accept you for how you are. But truly, there's only two genders, right?
No, because some people are born with both parts. Some people are born intersex.
Okay, but there's both. So you're saying there's two parts. So there's two genders, right? Because there's not a third gender. There's not a third part. So you're just born with two parts.
That person's another person, right? So that person born with.
But we're not even talking about hermaphrodites. I'm just saying in general. Do you believe there's more than two?
So there's more than two genders. If you're going to include hermaphrodites, which you have to, that's at least more than two genders, right?
But they're not the only one. I don't think the hermaphrodites are the one really like with the signs up and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I
don't think they're fighting for equality. The hermaphrodites.
Yeah,
I think it's others.
No, and that's fine. I think gender identity is so complex that there can be more than two genders.
But if you're born with a penis and you are born with a vagina, then that's two genders. How is there more?
I think
biologically speaking.
Like biologically
okay, yeah. So if we're saying biologically speaking, yes. If we're talking about gender identity, then no.
And that's a whole nother subject matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then biologically speaking, there's still that third, where you do have
I don't think they're protesting for rights. Like the third that you're talking about.
They are protesting for rights, of course, because they can be considered trans depending on what surgery their parent decides to have, at birth. So they might be
at birth?
Yeah, because sometimes you have the option is to choose if they're born intersex. Sometimes they may choose later.
What percentage of people are born intersex?
I've never heard.
That I don't know, but I think we're dealing with small percentages of people in general when we talk about gender identity. Right. But at the same time, these are people that are in our society that want to be included and shouldn't be.
Well, then there's an argument there when he talks about civil rights, right?
Yeah.
How many people in the minority need to exist before you start giving civil rights out?
But do you feel like maybe kids should wait till they're 18 to decide to change their gender? I don't think like parents should decide.
I don't see it as parents deciding. At least the cases I've seen.
You're saying the parent decides if the surgery out of
that's for intersex.
Yeah.
That's different because sometimes they tell you have to make a decision. I haven't studied it lately, but I just know that when you're born intersex, sometimes they give you the option to choose based on the development of the genitalia, what have you. But that's more a biological thing.
Right.
But those people can be considered trans later on in life, depending on what the parents chose. And so, but again, that's small. But when we're talking about transgender, to me, it's still about gender identity, which I think is there's more than one gender. We talk about gender identity. And I think there has to be no sort of like point where you say, now we are concerned about excluding you because there's a certain numerosity. I think we should be welcoming people regardless of, how many or how little of them there are in our society.
I'm saying, do you think that if you have a child, right, and they feel like they're another gender, should you wait till they're 18 to decide to pursue that idea or identity?
It's a conversation between the child and the parent.
I think but I think at the very least, like, options like therapy should be open.
But I feel like those therapists are biased because they are kind of trained to take you a certain way, which are like hormones and stuff like that. But what if I thought I was Xena the Warrior Princess when I was 12, but when I was 18, I thought I was Scarface.
But
so
did you try to commit suicide
I think
because
you
you
still
weren't
think
the
you're
warrior
Scarface.
princess?
yeah, I do still think I'm Scarface.
Yeah, but did you try to commit suicide because you weren't the warrior
but
princess?
who's giving these kids the idea to commit suicide?
I think society. I think when you're excluded from society and you know that you're one thing that they tell you can't be or shouldn't be, and if you are to express it in any shape, way, or form.
I've seen videos of transgenders, older ones, saying that they wish that they regret transitioning because they said that the therapist pushed them into, like, at 16 they said they felt like whatever, right?
Yeah, but they're not representative of all people, right? That's
but
their
don't
experience.
you feel like your brain should develop fully for you to make a major decision like that?
Well, I mean, as far as I know, they're not doing surgeries before 18. So that's out, right?
But they're giving you hormones.
And so I think after you go through the necessary steps in the therapy, because I do know that biologically, if you take the hormones before puberty, then you'll align more with the gender identity that you feel you are. And so there's that concern. So there is a biological reason why they might want to start them on hormones earlier. But I think as long as we're studying the level of therapy, the level of counseling, you have to, go through these certain things at that certain age before you can even get to that point. I think there's a responsible way to go about it.
Yeah, I think it's an agenda, to be honest with you.
An agenda?
You think everything's an
Whoa.
agenda?
I think it's an agenda.
I think it's an agenda.
I think it's a satanic agenda.
A satanic agenda?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Wait.
I think it's an agenda by people on top to lessen people having kids and just confuse the youth and weaken society, weaken men, and that's just how I personally
dismantle masculinity, dismantle femininity, break up the yin and yang.
They don't even want to use the word woman anymore.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the documentary "What Is a Woman" by Matt Walsh?
Well, no, but I think there are things happening in society. What I'm confused about is that you guys think it's a top-down thing and that someone is like perpetrating this.
Yeah.
For example,
Because-
we were in the car and there was a huge article just released that Target lost $9 billion because they had an agenda pushed to have transgender clothing in the stores in Target. And this is to push that, a kid should get tucking underwear so they can tuck their penis in because now he should identify as a woman. And it's like pushing this agenda so hard. And now they're having like kindergartens in school be taught like, everyone's transgender and everyone's a he, they, them. And like pushing this.
I'm
it's
not
like,
really like the whole school thing.
It's crazy.
If you're teaching my child about pronouns, I'm taking him out of the school.
Yeah, I would never put my child in a school.
I'm taking him out of the
What?
school.
So wait, what's
And I might fight the teacher, to be honest with you. I might fight you.
wait? So what's the concern that your child might become trans because they learn of the pronouns?
No, because they're being pushed the agenda.
So
Whereas they should be taught, okay, well, whatever you are biologically, that is what you are. But
what's the concern for the child?
The concern is, to me, I have a child. So my concern is I just don't want any ideas put into him. Like, if he wants to be, if he's gay, transgender, whatever he is, he can decide that on his own. Because if you're saying you're born that way, then he will feel it without somebody who's a zem explaining to him what this is and now giving him this new idea. Oh, maybe I'm this way. Maybe I'm that way. If you're gay, if you're trans, you will know it on your own.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you don't
same
need
thing if you're straight, right?
teacher,
Exactly.
but then why are you teacher telling you about all these ideas that maybe you're now rebellious, you want to like upset your parents, or maybe one kid in your class is this way, and then you want to join the whole like movement, and like people like are like praising you for being like a Dylan Mulvaney or whatever. So now you think that's a good idea, and I don't want that idea put on my kid. So if he wants to be that way, let him be that way on his own.
If you think transgenderism can be reduced to a topic of like I'm going to be a rebel, there is like some serious contamination.
I think it could be a phase, and you can change your mind later.
Yes,
Wait, so
I agree.
That misses the
I'll
mark.
accept my kid no matter what he is. I'm not gonna not love you if you're gay, but I just don't want you putting this idea in his head if he doesn't need, like, all these cartoons with I'm non-binary and I'm this. Like, I don't want him watching that shit.
Well, okay. I would say let me ask you this question.
Sure.
In an all-white classroom, should we not teach about other minorities?
No, it has nothing to that's
it's
totally
the same principle.
different.
Yeah, because a kid might then say, oh, he's
But
he's
being
black,
a
so he's gonna talk
minority
black, or he's
is
gonna be
not
exposed to black
you
culture.
tucking your dick in a bathing suit. Being a different color, race, or a different ethnicity is not teaching you about sucking dick and all this weird sexual. I don't want anything sexual, whether it's heterosexual or not. I don't want my kid learning about sex, especially gay sex, trans sex. Any sex, if he's a young child, I don't think he needs to learn about it. Let him find out on his own, or when he's older.
Like,
But why are you- why
but
are
in
you
school, they're not
translating that?
pushing, like, being straight. They're not saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. But now, all of a sudden, because trans exists, then, oh, we need to push this, push that. Like,
Well, I think it's just letting the kids know that there are other people in society that exist that you're going to come across.
yeah,
then to
and they'll
be
learn that
accepting of-
naturally. You
and
don't
be
need to learn
accept-
that in school, personally, at a
But-
young age.
No,
I
they
think
don't
you
learn.
ha-
No, they don't learn tolerance. Right? There's a
Yeah.
difference. Tolerance for inclusivity should be taught, because that does principle translates to the same thing about ethnicity and religion, right? If you don't teach tolerance at a young age, that is a lesson that can be missed really easily, really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, being taught
Right.
inclusivity, yeah, that's important, but that's different from saying, oh, well, this is this, and you should do this, and you should do that, and like trying to wire a kid's brain into thinking they should do something because
Now,
it's
the irony
cool.
there
But-
is I hear people from an opinion standpoint, more like you and Al, talking about it more than anybody else.
Yeah, because
Right.
we're
I'm like,
we're upset by it. I have a child, and also if I can teach him about it, I don't need you, whoever the fuck you are, with your little whoever you are in that teacher. I don't need her teaching I'll teach my child about if he wants to know what this is. I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna give him my views, and that's how he's gonna look at it. You're not gonna perpetuate your ideas into my kid, and he's gonna come home and tell me, "Oh, well, I learned this in school, mommy." No. I'm gonna
fight you back on that one, right?
Yeah.
Because if you are going to be the person to teach your child about
Yeah,
your
I
belief
am.
system, right?
Yeah, that's my child.
You have strong enough conviction that you'll be able to teach your child the same belief system, and it will not be interrupted because they will inherit the same level of conviction. Now, if your conviction's not strong enough for you to digest that into language for your child to then also assume, that's on you. That's your weakness. That if you feel that they can go out into the world and so be easily convinced by some other people, that is your weakness from your belief system. That is lack of conviction on your side.
Listen, in the 90s, when there was a trend to wear bell bottoms, bitches wore bell bottoms. So if it's a trend to be transgender or a trend to be a
It is
non-binary
trending.
on TikTok,
It
A
is.
then you're
trend?
going to do, it is a
It's
trend.
trending
trend?
to
It is
be
a
gay.
trend.
So
It
you-
literally is trending
so
to be
you-
gay.
you
Not
think-
gay, not gay.
Yeah, but like
all these new
all these
things,
things, yeah.
ze, they, her, I don't know what that is.
Well-
I don't even think the gay community is even happy about what is going on, because I feel like they're taking it to a whole. You didn't even know. We didn't know what a they was 10 years ago. This is a new thing that was created, and we don't understand it. And we don't really even want to know. Like, be what you want to be great. We don't hate you. We don't care. Like, we don't. What is that? Like, a they, a they, a z. Like, there are so many. If you look
It's
it
just
up,
made up shit.
it's what are you talking about?
Yeah, but I mean, I just feel like the same thing has been said about minorities that have immigrated to this country for.
Oh, it's
you
not
know,
the same. You can't. This is if you're Chinese,
Yeah.
you can't. You're not making that up. So being a they or a they, you're not a minority. This is a made up thing.
No, but in terms of coming to another society that doesn't know who you are and they have to learn.
We
the
don't wanna
things.
know.
And
We
they
don't wanna know.
No, but they might say the same thing about Asian culture, the same thing about Hispanic culture.
no.
I don't want to know about
Because
the
it's
different-
made. Because we feel like
Yeah.
it's like make believe. Because if you're from Africa, you
Phil.
can't change that.
No, but from South America,
Huh?
Phil, you feel like it's make believe. That is an opinion.
No,
that is a
but-
stance.
no, but
right?
even-
there's lack of
It
awareness.
wasn't
But-
there 10 years ago.
But
Oh,
it was
Africa
there.
was
It's
there.
always
China
been
was
there.
there.
No.
South America
It's
was there.
just awareness
These
that's
things were
different.
not there.
It's
Being
always
a they
been there.
did not exist
No,
10 years
just,
ago.
Just imagine someone from a white community and then the Hispanic immigrants to go, well, they all speak Spanish. What, Colombia, Brazil? No. You all speak Spanish. I don't need to learn anything more than that. You know, that doesn't make
But
sense.
it didn't exist, is what I'm saying.
No,
this
it did
is
exist.
New.
We
this
didn't
is
know.
new.
A
What
they?
do you
I've
mean
never
we
heard
didn't
of
know?
like 5 years ago. I didn't even know what a they
people that
was.
didn't classify themselves
That's
in
on
certain
you.
genders existed.
No.
They may not have had the language to talk
maybe
about
that
it,
layer
but they
the
did
thing.
exist.
Listen, they're putting these words, they wouldn't identify them if somebody didn't make bring them into like
No, someone talked to someone.
Yeah, someone talked to
So-
someone and made it up, and they're like,
No,
"Oh, we're gonna be on this team."
No, someone talked to someone and said, "Well, I don't feel like a he or a she."
What does
And
that even mean? Hold on. Okay.
Well, I mean,
So I'm a female, right?
Yeah.
I'm I would say I'm more on the masculine side. So does that mean I don't know if I'm a he or a she? I know what the fuck I am. I have
exactly,
titties.
and they,
I got a vagina.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm a woman. Doesn't matter if I'm a little. So I feel like nowadays the younger kids, if they feel a little bit like they're a masculine female or a feminine male,
They're gonna be
that
like, "I'm
means they're
transgender."
something else,
Yeah.
and that's not true.
It-
Everyone has their own personality, and they all have their own like
So-
characteristics. That doesn't mean that now you're part of a group that just decided to exist out of nowhere because you could maybe relate to what they're saying. So if I
it's
was
self-selecting.
12,
So why can't you be part of that group? If I want to say I'm 12 and I feel like a they, I'm 14,
because
I feel
you're
like a he.
confused.
I'm
What do you mean feel like a he? You are a he.
no, I'm just saying if that is what's in my brain as a kid growing up.
Yeah, because you're putting it into their brain.
No,
They
but-
didn't,
Because
they
this
didn't
is
just
like
come
whole
up with
sec-
that.
You know
Like, a
what?
kid
You
wouldn't
heard about
just
this
be like, I'm they.
maps? You heard about this thing maps?
Minor attractive persons.
Minor attractive persons. I want to
Wait, what
fucking
does
kill
that
this
mean?
bitch. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Wait.
And then we should include them too. Hold on.
What
Let
does
me
that
find it.
mean?
What do you think it
Well,
means?
those people do exist.
I don't give a fuck. They're
Oh.
called pedophiles.
Oh.
That's what they're called. Not minor attracted person. You're a fucking pedophile,
Yeah.
and you should get stabbed and eaten by a fucking lion.
Oh, I was hoping it was
Well,
a person
now,
that didn't look that good
now
looking.
they're trying to say that's
What?
acceptable.
I was hoping it was a person that didn't look that good looking. You said minor attractive person. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
no.
they're attracted to minors. There's a
yeah.
video of a
It's new
teacher,
language.
of a liberal teacher, okay, who's a zizis or whatever, and she's explaining how we should be open-minded to minor attractive people. And it's like, how far are we gonna go with this shit? Is my question.
Well, I mean, I think you have to say, obviously, I don't know why pedophilia has been so, like,
Tied to.
Yeah, and then
No,
why?
because,
And
like,
why you said, well, no, but you went from earlier. You said, oh, I don't want my kid to learn about he, him, his, and then learn about sex with transgender. Why are we saying they're going to learn about sex? We're talking.
Okay, so-
we're talking about respect for other people. We're talking about identifying other people
but
exist.
why
and
wouldn't
they
he have respect
and-
for other people?
Because when you're 6 and 7 or 8 or 9 and someone looks different to you, you generally make fun of them. It just happens. That's what happens. Kids make fun of things that are different.
Do you think they're
So
gonna stop making fun of it if
you teach them tolerance?
Bro,
Absolutely.
Kids are kids. You know what I
No,
mean?
no,
If you're a fat
they
bitch,
learn. They learn.
They might tell you you're a fat bitch. Nobody's gonna. You know what I'm saying?
But
Unless
you don't tell that. You don't tell
but-
them that at 12 or 13 when you've learned some empathy, when you've learned some inclusivity.
But there's
that-
always going to be bullying. Like, we can't just
Right,
sit here and be like,
exactly.
bullying's never going to exist because we teaching to
Why can't we?
But
No, because
that
that's
doesn't
not,
work.
that's not realistic.
Yeah, it's not how it
No, no,
works. And
if
maybe
you teach-
bullying
If
is
this
good.
was a perfect world, yeah, then bullying wouldn't exist. But someone is definitely still going to bully to the end of time.
Everyone's gonna get bullied.
But why shouldn't we endeavor for a world where people are more empathetic? Like maybe it won't ever happen
Because
to
this
the
is the
100%.
real world.
Like, this is
the real
isn't
world, and
dream
this is
world.
exactly.
So-
we don't live
yeah.
in Disneyland.
So because the real world right now is bleak, we should just
Go
not
teach
teach
tolerance?
empathy.
So
Yeah,
Maybe if we
empathy's
get
off the table.
invaded, we should just pull out a fucking rainbow, and then that should be our shield.
What's wrong with positivity for you?
There is nothing wrong with it, but just be realistic because there's a lot of shit going on in the world, and we can just get taken over by any fucking like if we just
the
go,
United States?
yes, if we
Oh,
just go for
come on.
everything, they're just gonna take it. They're just gonna take it from us.
Ooh.
Them.
Whoever.
Because
Them.
I mean,
But see, this
I will
is-
say the
that's the
military-industrial
thing.
complex in this country leaves us far ahead of any country taking us over militarily. But
I don't
Them.
know that.
Yeah.
I don't know
Whoever
that
them
anymore.
is.
I don't even. I
Them
don't
is
know.
coming for
I
us.
don't think America is as strong as it used to.
we
be.
outspend the rest of the world
In military.
by leaps
Yeah.
and bounds. It's crazy.
Technologically, yeah,
yeah.
we're losing the race.
No,
Why?
but we do a little brain drain though. We take from other countries the smartest people they have, and we get to use that intellect.
Okay, but China and Russia are right there.
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, militarily,
You don't know.
wise.
You don't know.
Spending wise, you have an idea how much larger our military budget is, and it's been that way consistently. So you just know in terms of that, I feel personally safe. I
Are
know
you
some
happy
people,
with Joe Biden as our president?
Oh my gosh, I think I am. I actually think I am.
You
I-
are?
I woke up every day when Trump was president just nervous about my own personal safety.
Well, how? Why?
Because every day he tweeted something that was incendiary, and I knew
Can
that
you
if there was ever
It means like it's gonna.
No, can you stop with the chair? It's just it's bothering me. Sorry.
And so yeah, I just always felt if someone had gotten to his ear to tip him one way or the next, he might write something on Twitter that might incite violence. And so I was just always concerned about.
But who
that.
was really inciting violence during the time? Who was the
I
ones
th- I th-
inciting violence?
his followers.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna say people. You know what I'm thinking. If you're like me, you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Who was really inciting violence?
People like you.
No, I was home.
no.
I was home. I
All-
wasn't protesting. I wasn't burning shit down. I wasn't doing nothing.
I'm just speaking to
so
my...
don't say people like me. I didn't do nothing. I was
You're
just
the first one who's like to burn shit down. Like
What?
when things go wrong, you're like
What?
burn shit down.
What?
Fuck them.
Where? When did I say
You just
that?
said feed them to the lions. That's like
The
your
pedophiles!
default. No, it's anybody.
The fuck are you talking
Anybody.
about? I'm talking
That's
about
your
the
default for
pedophile-
anybody.
No, I'm gonna feed you,
li-
to the
you
lions
like-
in a second.
No.
The fuck are you talking
If you
about?
like a different flavor of ice cream, she's like, fuck them, feed them to the lions. Like, it's just everything. It's a default.
Oh, I like that podcast. Feed them to the Lions
Yeah.
podcast.
Well, I think it,
that
it
should
wraps
be that should
around
be
to, like
we're gonna change the name of the show.
That's
Feed
the
'em to the
tagline.
lions. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think you're right. I think you just. I mean, that's a good clip though.
But, I did want to ask you this question.
Sure.
What are you going to say to your kids about transgender people and the movement?
I'm gonna tell them this is an idea perpetuated by the World Economic Forum onto our youth, and just know that you are a boy. My baby boy, you're my son, you're a boy, and I want you to get married one day and have kids. And this is not the way that you need to go. Like, don't be mean to these people, because my best friend is gay.
Okay.
He's not transgender or anything. He's gay, and I love him, and I would actually marry him and have him be my gay husband. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have anything against these people.
So what do you say
but
if his
I
best
just-
friend is trans? Your kid's best friend is trans. What do you say to your kid?
Don't pull your dick out.
Oh. What?
Yeah, I mean, just.
I agree. Like, I think that again,
I don't want him
inclusiveness-
experimenting.
Yeah.
I don't want him experimenting. I don't want him to get ideas.
But that's worse than him just learning about pronouns in class.
I
Or
don't
that's
want
better
him to
than
learn.
him learning about
No,
pronouns.
I'll
in class.
teach you. I'll teach you about it. I'll teach you about it.
Hmm.
I don't want any ideas that aren't my ideas put onto him that are extra. Like,
Well,
I
that's
don't.
life. People are always talking about different things, and like,
But you're not going to indoctrinate my child. I'm sorry. Like,
So you
just
ju-
teach him science, teach him math, and keep him moving. Because I don't even know what the fuck you guys are even teaching these
But
days.
that's what I'm saying. Is like, why do you view the actual schooling as indoctrination? If they're literally just letting
Because
you
they're
know, that
teaching
there's, like,
people how to be good workers and slaves.
Because that's
Yeah.
the news, right? That's the news they're getting. Is
It's
that
the
now
truth, bro. I did
education is
horrible in
indoctrination.
school,
But
and you know
as
what?
someone who
People
went to
told
law
me I
school-
wasn't going
Yeah.
to get anywhere in life, and you know what?
There's been
That's not true.
There has been an anti-education movement since Nixon,
Yeah.
and it's been very successful. in
We
this
are
country.
not anti-education. We just want real education. Teach somebody how to balance a checkbook and how to have good credit and what they need for their life. Not fucking bullshit. The Cuckoo's Nest or whatever the black whatever books. I don't even read books, but whatever the fuck they're teaching,
It shows.
that shit did nothing for me. I
Yeah,
don't
but
even know.
Rockefeller said that he wanted people that were good workers, people enslaved to the system, so that they made the rich people more rich. They don't want people that are independent thinkers. They don't want people that think for themselves and have creativity. They just want workers enslaved to the system, and that's what makes them more money.
I feel like if you're gonna say they, you have to identify the
I said
they.
Rockefeller. I said that is his direct quote.
So-
And he's the one who implemented the systems in schooling and a lot of different things.
What are
Right,
they
no,
teaching
Like,
in school?
and this is still implemented years and years. There's curriculums. Teachers can't sit there and teach whatever they want to teach. They have to follow a certain curriculum. And none of that
Rockefeller Institute. I've never heard of the Rockefeller.
You can Google it.
This is it's the Illuminati agenda, right? The Illuminati theory that Rockefeller was a part of, the Masons are all a part of, right? High society, anybody in the 1% is all a part of. But what I heard out of you right now was a semblance of an anti-capitalistic argument, right? Anti-capitalism. And that's interesting to me, right? Because I do hear a lot of that coming out from the same opinions chain of thought is like anti-Rockefeller, anti-Carnegie, anti-Ford, right? Because all these ideas were to enslave a lower class of people to make sure that they always had the working.
I mean,
rather
people
than
are
give
slaves.
people the
They
op-
are
Yeah.
slaves. They work all fucking day. They every time they get a check, it goes into their rent. They
Oh.
can't fucking enjoy. They're not enjoying life.
They're on the hamster wheel.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's not. I don't think we were put on this
But-
earth to be miserable. Why do you think people are killing
Well,
themselves?
but I think you kind of imputed a sort of sinisterism to it today that I don't think exists.
No, it's implemented from centuries. I mean, like, this is happening and it's still happening. happening.
Systemic.
And it's
So
systemic.
okay,
Yes.
so we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
No, it is systemic.
What else is systemic?
The fact that now all of you want to say, "Oh, teach they and them," and that bullshit. Like, that's my opinion. So I think
Racism?
that racism
Systemic.
is systemic.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot of systemic things, but to say that racism is like still alive, yes, there are still people that are racist. But do black and white people have the same rights? Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I think
Same
that's-
access?
No.
Access to what?
You think
Access to a lot of things,
What do
right?
you
We
mean?
even
Look
talk
at
about
Jay-Z and Beyonce. Look at Obama. He's black. He was the president.
Well,
I don't think that. I feel like the real racists are older people. I think
Yeah.
the new generation of people like
but
I don't think that they feel that
But
way.
you-
Like,
but
I
we
have a
talk about-
half
we
black
talk-
son.
But we talk about systemic racism, right? So it's
Who's
systemic,
white
which
passing,
is,
by
it's
the
built
way.
in the system.
Did I
So-
make him white passing?
But
He was
I mean-
born white passing.
But we already know just from like loan approvals and whether it's education, we know in different metrics when you don't have certain things in place that black people are are given, whether it's loans at lower rates or mortgages at higher rates. You know, we've seen that data, so we know that still exists today, and so we're still trying to correct some of those instances. So when it comes to racism and it's systemic, you have to address some of that stuff. And I think a lot of the systemic things that we are confused about, or not confused about, but that we might have different opinions about, is that society had to be born out of some trade-off, right? You had to give up some rights in order to share a whole and to build something more. And so now we're in a situation where we have a lot of people building more, and at the top, more people coalesce some power. And so maybe there's this idea that there was a sinister agenda involved, but I think that's how society just formed, and now we're more aware of that. And I think we're kind of break out of that system.
Well, Western society, and that's because there was some rigging to the game.
Yeah, of course.
Right,
Along the
right.
way, as people coalesce power, then there was
There's a like-mindedness that was shared
Yeah.
that happened to be convenient, and they ran with it.
But
right?
I think as a society, it was essential to begin that process.
Well,
right? Or we're just people like fighting
I'm going to actually
wars against each
piggyback
other.
off something you just said a little while ago, right? This idea of bullying. Right? I don't think bullying is ever going to go away. And I think there's a certain amount of healthiness to bullying and bullying receiving.
What?
Right?
I agree.
Yeah, for real.
I
Because if
agree.
someone tells
Everyone's
me that I'm
soft
fat,
nowadays.
right?
Yeah.
If I gain weight, right?
Yeah.
If I gain 30 pounds and someone's like, you know what? You're fat. That might motivate me in a way.
Constructive. So
Yeah.
that's constructive
You know what I'm
bullying,
saying?
right?
But that's because we've learned that.
Yeah,
But we
let-
can teach the next generation a different way to be triggered.
To just
We've
be
learned
pussies.
So, but let's,
Everyone is soft as hell now.
What does
because
that mean?
Bro,
Well,
there's
well,
no men left.
I'm gonna
I'll
fin-
tell you what it
I'm
means.
gonna
I'll
fin-
tell
I'm
you
gonna-
what
I'm
I
gonna
can tell
finish
you
my
what it
sentence.
means.
I'm going to finish my sentence to this idea of soft, right? When we talk about the study of cultures, right? And Michel Foucault wrote some wonderful papers on this. He wrote a book about this idea of othering. And this idea of othering is central to a lot of Western society. We like to other ourselves. We like to put titles on each other to make sure that we can separate ourselves from other people, right? And there's a certain amount of bullying that happens in this, and it happens in cultures, right? My culture is better. I identify with my culture because yours does this and mine does that, right? That is the root of how we separate ourselves culturally, right? This idea of being soft, I happen to agree with it a little bit. I'm conflicted in how this ends up going super astray.
Mhm.
But where I find it being soft is you're soft in your conviction. If I am someone in my culture that feels I'm right, and I'm talking about whether it's music culture, right? If I belong to hip hop or jazz, if I belong to some ethno group versus another ethno group, right? I am taught, as you would teach your son, right? I am taught a certain foundation within my beliefs. Because of the way that I was taught, I am unshakable in my belief system. So you can bully me all you want. You can identify or other yourself however the fuck you want, and you will not shake me from my belief system because of how I was raised. I have a strong belief foundation.
Great,
right?
but if we get invaded, are you fighting for us? That's what we want. That's
I'm
what we
fighting
mean by
for
soft.
myself.
No, are you
I'm
putting
fighting-
your boots in the soil
I'm
and you're gonna
fighting for
fight for
myself.
America? Because we'll take that guitar and fucking bash it over your fucking head.
And in my experience, right, this is when we talk about battling, right, or fighting like this external them, right? The idea that you're like without fault to the point where someone attacks you that they have no right to attack you, I don't think exists either, right?
No.
If we're like in a position to be attacked.
But that's what we mean by soft, because you can like argue your way, but if somebody real comes in the room, what are you going to do? That's what we want to know. We're not talking about your beliefs and blah, blah, blah. We want to know what you're going to do.
No, just because someone walks into the room right now and just because they come at me.
Well, if you can't protect me, then I don't want to marry you. That's what we mean when we say soft. When women say soft, we want a man.
I'm throwing you in front of me.
All right, exactly.
My way,
so that's what we mean.
You specifically.
So you think in that context, education has changed, and like a kid growing up today who's a male would not defend you in that situation.
I don't think they're taught to be like real men. Like, they're like, like being, I don't know. Like, I think boys should fight. I think boys should fight. Like, I think it's good to know how to fight. I think as a man, you need to know how to fight.
But we were never taught to fight. We were always taught not to fight. We did it anyways, but we were never taught to fight. We were always taught to diffuse situations. But,
I just feel like right now it's just more of.
You were taught to be kind in the golden rule, kindergarten. Did that make you soft?
I don't know if they told me to be kind. I think I missed that lesson.
No, what I'm saying, like, we got these exact same lessons. Did that?
You think the curriculum is the same today as it was 30 years ago?
Or even when I was in school?
Yeah, when it comes to like the softness of it, yeah. I think kids are still taught to be kind, still taught to respect each other. We've expanded what that means and what it looks like, but we were taught the exact same things, and we didn't say, "Oh, don't teach my kid to share his lunch with the next friend because that makes him soft."
We're just talking about like sexual things. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I'm not talking about anything else. But it's like if you're teaching my son or my child like about sexual things when they're just too young to like grasp these concepts, and you're giving them new ideas that they didn't even know existed, it just bothers me.
Is your son being exposed to this right now?
That's what I'm saying.
He's 3 years old. He's in daycare.
Yeah, I know. So are they talking about this stuff in daycare already?
No, I said 10 years old.
So I just
think that conversation in general, like sex ed in general, identify blah, 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 like it shouldn't be until high school. That's when you at least are hitting puberty. You're starting to understand who you are, your identity, things like that. But in middle school and elementary school, that's extreme, in my opinion. And I would be upset if my child was taught that at a young age.
Well, in middle school, you still want your kids to know ovaries, penis, vagina, could have a baby, because they're like puberty. A lot of kids are doing that already. So you want them to know that, right?
Like 8th grade. I don't think anything 7th, 6th grade unless they're playing
puberty hits at 13.
Yeah. And people are having sex at 10.
13 is 8th grade.
People are having sex at 10. Like, I want my kid.
Like I didn't have sex ed until 8th grade. I think that's appropriate. I think it shouldn't be any earlier than that. And I don't agree with teaching anything about identity or whatever the fuck until it's 8th grade.
I believe in sex ed very early. Like, 5 years old, 6 years old. You need to know. Yeah.
No.
You need to know that you have a penis, that's a vagina, that could happen. Here are the basics of that. If this guy pulls out his penis, that's a dangerous thing. Walk out,
Yeah, that part.
So you have to tell your kid at 5, like,
I was not taught that at 5, and there's no way in hell if I had learned that at 5 years old would I have even understood what that even meant. Like I didn't even know what a penis was until like probably 9th grade, honestly. Like I saw pictures in 8th grade.
Yeah, my mom told me, and she made sure I knew, because she was
5th grade is crazy. I was playing with Barbies when I was in 5th grade.
See, my mom didn't want me to be like sexually assaulted in the bathroom, like, so she was like, here's what happens, here's what this looks like, make sure you know that's a dangerous thing, go,
Yeah.
And I think kids can digest it and they can understand it.
That's good.
And I think once they can do that early, they know.
But maybe just that part, like stay away from anyone who claims they're a map. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be like they need to know. So like, I think kids are they're very intelligent, and they understand a lot more than we think they do. And so I think to close off the idea of sex ed from them when they have these parts and could be experiencing these things is not good. Now, maybe you talk about what else is shared, but to say it should all be banned, I don't think is good. I think they've done studies with the kids. Yeah, I think they had lower pregnancy rates when they learned earlier about what sex ed was.
Well, this country's just been bad at that in general for decades now. Yeah. So speaking of which, how's everyone's dating life? Are you dating?
I actually just met a guy like 2 weeks ago, so it's not.
How did you meet him?
At EDC. But I've been celibate for 3 years, and I'm waiting for my soulmate. I think that the energy exchange in sex is like huge, and I don't want to just give that to anybody.
You shouldn't.
So yeah, I've been celibate for 3 years, and he respects that, which I really like.
How old is he?
He's 27. We went to the same college, which is interesting because my ex was his fraternity brother, which is kind of funny. But he's very smart, very thoughtful, very kind. And I'm just like, I have no attachments to it. I'm letting it unfold how it may, but it's going well so far, and it's nice.
That's good. Yeah. What about you?
I'd say decidedly just focused on me and my career, and yeah, LA's a minefield.
Have you tried dating in LA?
To some degree, to some extent, and because to me it's more about evaluating people, and I've learned very quickly, intentions and character. Yeah.
I feel like it's hard. I don't know. I'm speaking, I guess, for my generation, the people that are in, like, specifically my age. It is so hard to date. Like, it's so hard. Like, most people don't date anymore. They just want to hook up.
Yeah.
They don't want anything serious. It's just a thing. Like, they don't see the long-term picture of, like, dating and marrying and things like that. And people are getting married way later now because they'd rather, like, stay young. Like, a lot of my friends are, like, 35, still single, like, don't even, like, think about marriage. And it's, like, it's insane to me, only specifically because I do want to be married before I have kids. And, like, I want to be married to the right person, So it's, like, it's really hard to find a guy and you, like, go on the first date and you're like, okay, what are your goals? Like, what are your characteristics like you said, and, like, what are you looking for? And they're like, oh, just like a hookup. Let's fuck. Like, what? No. So that's all. Like,
is your generation of dudes like that straightforward? Like,
they're like, yeah, like, why can't we just chill? Let me hit you up at 3 a.m. and let's chill. Like, that's the chill is, like, the new word for, like, let's hook up. And it's, like, and then they'll lead you on sometimes and, like, say, oh, but I want more with you. And then, like, draw back after you do confront them saying, like, what are we? That's, like, the big red flag. What are we? And then they, like, all back away and they're like, no. Or they ghost you or fuck your friend or whatever. And it's just, like, really sad to see.
Do you believe in marriage?
I do believe in marriage, but I think with relationships and marriage included, I believe in sort of like a continued affirmation of presence. I don't necessarily believe in, like, we're in a relationship or we're this or we're that, but I believe, like, your actions and your continued affirmation of presence and what you do define the relationship. And at any point you no longer affirm that, then I'm no longer affirming certain things too.
So you don't believe in marriage?
I do.
No, you don't.
No, what do you mean?
Well, you said, as long as you affirm that I'm here, but if you don't affirm that, then I'm not here. So it's not for better or for worse till death do us part. Because that's what marriage is. What do you mean?
Do you believe that once you get married, it's for better or for worse? You're going to tolerate the worst?
I mean, yeah.
Well, not if you, like, you're getting beat.
If there's a line of,
there is a line.
And that's why I call it a continued affirmation.
Yeah, but if he's having, like, depressive things, like, if it's, like, his own internal struggles, like, obviously I'm going to be there for him and, like, support him. But obviously if it's, like, beating, cheating, obviously no. But do worse being, like, through sickness.
But those are the vows, though. You know what I'm saying? Is, like, do you believe in that? Because what you're saying is if the second it gets cold, and if it's cold for a few months, you're basically, like, out of here.
No, because the criteria for that continued affirmation of presence might be different. If it gets cold and we're working on communication, or it gets cold because you're sick, or whatever it is, that continued affirmation is it defines and is part of how we connect with each other. And I think we both know when the other person, because when you're not showing up, right? And so if you're not showing up, you can't expect me to show up.
So that's not marriage.
But do you want to have, like, the actual, the traditional wedding?
Yeah.
Like,
are you identify as straight or?
I would say my I don't really have an identity. I think it's more open to whoever comes in my life, and I find that intention and that
So
connection.
you don't really necessarily want kids.
I do want kids.
You do?
Kids. Yeah, absolutely.
So you would adopt if it was.
I'd like to have biological kids, but yeah, I would certainly adopt as well too. But I want to adopt later on in life, anyways, just because, like,
you want to help.
Yeah, I want to help, and I think kids are amazing, so I'd like to have kids in the house.
But that's the thing, most people my age don't even, like, believe in the traditional setup of a marriage,
Well, you from past conversations, you like the traditional marriage.
Yeah. No, right? That's what I expect. Like, that is a requirement.
Man is the breadwinner.
Yeah.
What happens when the man no longer becomes the breadwinner in that relationship?
No, there's that's not even a possibility. Like, so that's not an option. Yeah.
You're bailing.
If you are not the provider in his masculine energy, I do not want you. Period.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't care.
What if you're making more money? What do
No,
you want?
I'm
do
a
you
stay-at-home.
Look, I'll
I'm a
tell you
stay-at-home
something.
wife.
I'll tell you
But
something.
you're-
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I am, let's say, I would say I'm successful, right?
Yeah.
And I've dated men who have less than me before,
Yeah.
okay? Because a lot of times the men who have less, they might be more attractive, they're more fit, they have more time because they're bums. So they're at the gym a lot. And so I've dated those kind of guys, and they fucking suck. They fucking suck. And after that, after dating those kind of guys and trying to be a good woman and taking care of them, and I'm like, why am I don't want this. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like, you're a bum.
Okay.
I've
It's
even dated bums. I'm young.
I cannot get wet for a guy if he doesn't have more money than me. Like, if you don't make as much money as me, I don't want to be with you. I don't want to talk to you. Like, at this point, I've done it before. I know what it's like, and I'm not turned on by it, and I don't like it.
But
I don't like it.
I'm saying, what if you are dating together and then all of a sudden you get a big job and now you are now the breadwinner because you just got a big job.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying that. Like, if, for example, if
But-
the universe blesses you with something like that, that's amazing. I'm not going to
So you're
downplay
gonna
that.
Are you gonna break up?
But
the
I'm
guy
saying
from
we're
you?
not going
No,
into it like that.
no.
We're not going into it like that.
So you have to go in.
No, it's the fact that
Gotcha.
I'm going into a relationship expecting as a requirement
Yeah.
for you to be the sole provider for me and my family and our
Right.
family that
Exactly.
we create.
Well,
When
now-
does that start?
That's
so
right
Right away.
Where does
Right
it start?
away.
From the
Your family.
beginning. Like, when I meet you, you better be
The
established.
family, the
like,
kids. If you
yeah.
have kids together,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
paying for most of everything.
I want to
Yeah.
be a stay-at-home wife and a stay-at-home mom. I do not want to work. Maybe I'll go to the gym and like art class like on the side, but like that's what I want to do. And if my man cannot
Being
do
a mom
that,
is
I don't
harder
want to
than
be
working.
That. Yeah,
No,
that's a full-time job alone.
It's a double full-time
Yeah.
job.
So you want to get married and start having kids right away?
Not right away, but by the time I'm 30, yes.
Okay, so you'll be working.
I'll be working, doing my own
Okay.
independency thing until I find the right guy, my soulmate, and then
No, but when you find the right guy, are you going to stop working right away? You just
If
gonna-
he wants her to.
yeah, well,
She wants a man who wants her to not work.
yeah,
She wants a masculine man
Yeah.
who's like, baby, you stay home, take the credit card, go shopping. I got this.
Yeah. And if I'm very passionate about what I'm doing in that moment, let's say my clothing line or a really cool project that I'm very passionate about, obviously I will still pursue it. But
Yeah.
as soon as I find no interest and I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore, I will be happily at home with my feet up, relaxing, meditating, doing whatever the fuck I want without the worry of, oh, I have to go to work to provide for
How
myself.
would a woman really want to fuck you if you're not providing for her? After a while, we could want to fuck you like the first year, but after like year 2, you're just looking at your man like,
Well, it just, maybe there's a range on this, but I would say it's unattractive if it feels like a woman just wants to be with me and then not work and like kick her legs up and just chill. And like,
but if she's
and-
having kids, what do you mean? That's work in its own.
yeah, but it doesn't happen like that, right? We meet, we talk,
Yeah, in the
So I'm saying-
beginning, right? Okay, so
yeah.
you meet and you talk and you guys have your own lives.
But
But
if-
once you merge your lives together, you should be the main. I'm not saying, let's say she's an interior designer, right?
Yeah.
And she loves her job.
Yeah.
And she's continuing to do that and she makes money, but you're not relying on her money
Okay.
to pay
to
the
gotcha.
support.
Now,
yeah.
if you, let's say you have a bad month, right? Or a bad few months,
Yeah.
but you have, but your personality is to be the provider. Your intention is to be the
Okay,
provider.
Okay.
Then yeah, I'm gonna help you out.
Yeah.
But if you're like, you're cool with me doing most of the work,
No.
that's just not gonna work for me.
Gotcha.
And there's a lot
So
of things.
it's
yeah.
really about, I feel like it's about intention, but
Yeah.
I feel like you need to come into it with something. You need to match me at least, because I don't want to be the breadwinner.
But I am looking solely to have a man who is the sole provider for me and our family. Like, that's what I'm looking for personally.
I mean, just from the outset, it just sounds,
It
like,
sounds
whoa.
well.
That's
It
true.
sounds- because
Like-
because I feel like a lot of us have been with men who don't do shit,
Yeah.
and we know what that's like. Where they're like, "Oh, let me eat your food and come to your house and not put groceries in the fridge and just take advantage, take your car,
Okay,
drive it, not put
Jeez.
gas
Okay.
in
I've
it."
dated guys like that too.
Where the
Yeah,
hell did
I
you
had
guys
a girl
come
last
from?
Yeah,
night who told me she fucked a guy and he stole the credit cards out of her phone or whatever, and he DoorDashed. And we're not into that
Okay,
shit.
so y'all
Yeah,
are coming
I
from a
know.
place of pain. I see.
No, even if I no, but in general,
That's crazy to me.
I
That's
have
crazy.
dated guys like that too. I paid their rent. I bought
the
their
rent?
groceries.
Yeah,
like
no,
yeah,
insane.
like
Girls
even
are-
me.
We gonna
girls
talk
are
after
getting
this.
Yeah.
together.
Where were you when I was 23?
Now girls are getting taken advantage of,
Yeah.
and we're fucking tired of it.
I'm
We're tired of
of
it.
it.
We don't want that shit anymore, and that's why we become like this.
Well-
I don't
Yeah.
even believe in love
Well, I will
anymore.
say, I hope you don't push off a guy who would be the provider, but is now thinking you don't want to be the the other cog in the relationship who's productive and who fuels
No, but
it
just because you
along.
don't have a
don't
job
think he's
doesn't
ever-
mean you're not productive. Cooking, cleaning, doing things like that, nurturing the relationship
But
within
sometimes
each other is a lot of work too.
I
You're
say-
not doing nothing.
But hearing it too early as we're talking, sometimes will be like
too early, as in what? Like
in a relationship.
No, I
Here-
know.
yeah.
But like, what's your period of
Like
too
first
early?
date. If you're
Yeah.
mentioning it on the first date,
I'm just like,
Like,
No,
this is-
I'm mentioning on the first date that if you do not provide for me and you don't have a solid job and you
Ooh.
can't like protect and nurture and provide for me, I
think
do
what
not
she
want
means
it.
is she doesn't want to waste time.
Yeah.
If
I'm
you're
not wasting
If you're not
time, yeah.
thinking the same way as her, like let's not even go on a
But-
second
but I
date.
Yeah,
think-
absolutely.
I
not.
think possibly the way you communicate it and the way it like manifests itself is because of the bad experiences, and you might be pushing off someone who wants to take on that role.
But I think you don't even have to say it really. You can kind of
That's
you
what
can
I'm
kind of
saying.
tell.
Feel it out,
You
yeah.
can kind of
Yeah.
tell. You could tell if a man is like how he picks up the check.
Yeah.
You know how he
Yeah,
tells you to
yeah,
order
yeah.
Like
stuff.
Yeah.
if he was like, "Can we split the bill?" I would literally look at him and
you would
block
I
him
would
and
walk
never
out.
talk to him again.
I
walking
don't
out.
get that. You guys,
I'm not splitting
you
a
do
check
you.
with you.
You go out there into the
Yeah.
world. If you want to split checks, just make sure it's agreed upon before you step into the
Oh,
Yeah.
relationship.
I wouldn't split checks, so that's kind
Like,
of
that's
Yeah, but
fucking
I don't knock
gay.
people
Yeah.
who do.
yeah.
Like
Mm.
if they're doing it, that's on them. They
Like
have
if that's
a different,
if that's your
a different set
personal
of
choice,
expectations.
Yeah.
I don't knock it.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
if you invite someone, then you have to pay.
No,
Yeah.
if you're the man,
Yeah,
you
you
pay.
have to pay.
What
I
more
agree
is there
with
to
that.
question?
I
question?
think if you're a
Like-
man, you should pay. Honestly, if you don't like the girl, don't go out with her anymore. And if
Yeah.
you expect sex because you took her to dinner, you're fucking sick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
of
too.
course.
That's not how shit works. Go on fucking whatever site online, the prostitution site, and then pick a girl from there and pay her and fuck her. Don't think that just because
Yeah.
you're taking someone to dinner that
they owe
they
you
should open
anything.
their legs for you. That's not
Yeah.
how shit works.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's why I really respect the guy I'm talking to, because he actually wants to wait, and he said that he's going to wait as long as it takes because he wants to build the foundation between us.
And
that's rare.
I
Wow.
also feel like they say, okay, so I had this conversation last night with
Let's
some
check
women.
back in 6
I was gonna
months.
say, is he
No,
telling
we
the truth?
will. We will.
Hold
We
on.
will.
I was to dinner with these women. They said all men cheat, and we're older women, not
Yeah.
older. We're not in our 20s anymore.
Yeah.
We're not old. Depends who you ask, really. But anyway, so we're saying all men cheat, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, if all men cheat,
Yeah.
that's fine. But it's just the way that you cheat. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna be with me, you better make sure that I don't fucking
What do you
find
mean
out
all men
about it.
cheat though? That's crazy.
Yeah,
No,
they do.
No,
a
all
lot.
men-
Most
no.
men cheat. Yeah.
Most.
No, but,
Is it wrong if they didn't? Like, are they no longer the alpha male if they didn't cheat?
What?
Like, does that
It
diminish
makes
their...
you more of an alpha if you don't cheat, because you're
Yeah, 'cause you
you're-
can control
Yeah, you
yourself.
can control yourself, and you're not just.
But we
wilding
just
out.
that's like a diamond. That's like a needle in a fucking
Yeah.
haystack.
What,
Where are you
most?
finding a guy
Yeah.
who has his shit together and is not getting women like throwing themselves at it?
Yeah,
It's hard for
it's
them
hard.
to like control themselves.
Especially
And from what I
yeah.
understood, I saw this documentary about the lady who turned herself into a man. Nora, she turned herself into Ned and she killed herself. She said that men view sexuality, it's like kind of like biological, as women's sexuality is more like intimate.
Emotional, yeah.
And like men just have to release it. So sometimes they just fuck just to like bust a nut.
Comes with
But
a
It's
gesture.
true. That's very
and
true.
I'm just like, if you're gonna do that, get a hotel room, get a second phone, and make sure it's not a side bitch. Make sure it's some type of prostitute. Make sure you wear a condom, and then that's it.
But
You
you're
know
okay
what I
with
mean?
that.
I'm not okay with it. I'm saying
She's
if
saying-
you're gonna do
yeah.
it,
That's
do
the
it
way to do it.
respectfully,
Do it
with
respectfully.
that, and make sure I don't fucking find out about it, because I feel like women get tired at a certain
Yeah.
point, and if we love you, we don't want to share you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like no matter all men cheat, we don't want to
And
know.
I don't think all men.
But you don't
cheat.
believe
Yeah,
in
I
love
don't think
anyway,
that.
so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It matters to some, maybe not to me, but I mean, it does. If I do meet somebody, right?
But
I'm just letting him.
But are
know
you
how to
attracting?
do it.
The thing is, are you attracting cheaters or these guys that are like not, paying their due or So
Clearly,
because I don't think all men cheat. So I think it's a thing of how you're manifesting, who you're attracting, where you are, who you're around. 'Cause, yeah. I don't cheat.
but
I know a lot, and I know a lot of men that don't.
Men
cheat.
Well, a
say
lot
that
of
all men
cheat.
cheat.
A
Men
lot.
themselves admit that men cheat.
No,
The whole
no.
thing on I went on Fresh and Fit, and their whole stance was, because I'm a high value man, I can fuck any girl, even if I have a girlfriend. I
hate
should have
Myron.
multiple girlfriends.
He's
and blah,
so
blah, blah, blah,
angry.
blah. Like, it's like, okay, but like, what makes you a high value man? Just because you have money and like you have this clout or whatever, so that gives you the entitlement to cheat, and that's what he was saying essentially. And it's like, I just don't agree. I think you can be a high value man and still stay loyal to your partner.
Absolutely,
Like-
absolutely. And I feel like I feel like Ryan Reynolds doesn't cheat, right? I feel like,
Well, we don't know
I
that. We don't know that though.
Yeah, you'll never be able to know.
He's a
really,
principled person, right? You can make a safe assumption.
yeah.
We don't know. We don't know. It looks good from the outside. It definitely looks like the ideal relationship, but we just don't know.
but- Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, obviously,
Like
no-
Ryan Reynolds is a fucking almost a billionaire now. I'm sure
Yes.
there's bitches out
Throwing
there
themselves,
waiting
throwing
on his
themselves,
fucking
throwing
door.
themselves, yeah.
And maybe, you know, he has a moment of weakness here and there. You just never know.
You
Wait,
know,
is
Doesn't mean he doesn't love his wife.
But do you believe it's possible he hasn't? And that he has stayed
Yeah,
faithful?
obviously.
Okay, so yeah.
I don't think that all men cheat in the entire
I would like
world.
to, yeah.
I think that a majority do, yes.
Majority. Oh.
Yes. I
Yeah,
think a majority
majority.
do.
I
That
think
can
And
make
I've
a-
been
How is
cheated
that
on.
possible?
90%.
When the majority of men aren't even fuckable, right? By your own definitions.
Because all
You
the
guys
girls
are
are still
like-
fucking the same guy. I mean, it's not like.
But that's not the majority. You're talking about 1 or 2 men out of 10.
Yeah.
No, there's, let's just be honest. Out of 10 men, 6 of them are like, ugh. Right? No one's going there.
And
So
I mean,
how is that the majority?
So then
You're
you're saying
talking
they can't get pussies, that's why they're not cheating.
Okay, so
But if
maybe-
they could, that they would. Right?
I'm
Okay,
not saying
maybe,
either,
but
yeah,
not the
exactly. But
majority.
I'm saying maybe of good-looking people out there.
Yeah. Only good looking people are.
of the high value.
of the
high value ones are cheating all the time.
Well, yeah.
All right.
Because yeah, I guess. But of course, obviously, like I would be devastated if my husband were to cheat on me. You know,
And
that's-
high value women don't cheat, right?
I mean, I'm sure some do. Most do. I don't know. I
I-
think girls cheat,
I
but they
think
just
if
do
a
it
man
sneaky.
if a woman really loves you, she's her probability of cheating on you is not high.
Not high at all.
Yeah, yeah.
If her emotional fulfillment is
Yeah.
completely fulfilled in relationships,
Yeah.
she will never cheat.
Affirmations, right? When we're talking about affirmation, affirming presence, that's
Yeah.
what we're talking
No,
about.
100%.
Foundationally, yeah.
And that's the thing that the guy I'm talking to, like, he laid out those affirmations and he knows that words of affirmation are strong to build that sort of trust, connection, because that's what you need to survive in a relationship.
Yeah. And you don't even have to have a conversation about whether you're building a relationship with someone else because what you're building is continually affirmed.
Right.
And so you already know that y'all are locked
Yeah.
in.
And he literally said, based off just our soul connection and the fact that we build these foundations, that he has trust in both himself and me that neither of us will cheat. And he
Yeah.
said that. And I was like,
Have you cheated?
in my life, never.
Have you?
Cheated?
Yeah.
Maybe. When I was younger, not recently, no. But maybe when I think when you're young, like I said, if you don't have a good dad and you don't have a good foundation and you're just like out there in the world, you just make a lot of dumb mistakes, which is what happened to me. You know, I've made a lot of stupid mistakes, but would I cheat now? No. Like
I mean,
I
I don't have a dad. Never didn't. I never cheated.
Have you cheated?
Never cheated, no.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been cheated on though. Most
Same, yeah.
relationships.
I've been cheated on.
Yeah. That shit sucks.
That's why I'm just like, I'm kind of over it.
It's very hard, no matter how much inner work you do. Even what I'm experiencing now is that you know it's not fair to compare the person and like say that, oh, because of my past that you're going to do the same. But it's very hard to like have that free willing trust with that person who's brand new, because it's like at the end of the day, you're still in the back of your mind like, oh, this has happened to me. And like, it's hard to fully trust somebody after you've been hurt so many times. You know?
And I agree. And I think, but that's why I always say about continually affirming, because
Affirm
that
it,
keeps you so
exactly.
present
Yeah.
in the moment
Right.
so that you're less affected by
Right.
that history.
Exactly. And I think that communication is important to establish. But that's why I told him, like, just so you know, in the past this has happened, and he, as the man he was, affirmed me, just like you said, and that's just so important. And I think it's important for both the female and the male to do it to each other. You know,
Poor communication's a red flag.
terrible.
Yeah.
Round of red flags, real quick, so we can wrap this up. A couple top 3 red flags for you.
Like, what are my red flags?
No,
Oh,
well,
I was gonna say,
actually,
I have
do.
none.
Yeah, well, there, red flag right there. What's your biggest red flag, and then 3 others on that you don't like watching?
Fuck, there's so many I could say. Can you like get back to me, because I'm.
What's your biggest red flag, Shaka?
3?
Your biggest red flag, and what are 3 you don't like?
Like for me, like
Yeah, what's your biggest red flag?
Maybe probably too motivated, too driven.
The pronouns.
And 3 you don't like.
3 I don't like. Well, poor communication. That's really bad. What else? I mean, maybe maybe not fair, but it's nice if there's a clean history there. You haven't been with any of my friends or people I know. That's always
For
nice.
sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's LA.
Homie hoppers. That's
Yeah.
what we used to call
Oh,
them.
Lord.
But I don't think it's a red flag. It's just like a
It's a downer. It's a downer.
yeah.
It's like
but it's not their fault. If they like
Yeah.
met your friend 5 years ago and then they met you and they didn't even know you
Oh,
guys.
Yeah,
were
that's
5 years is
true.
not a bad timeline, but if it's like 2,
Yeah.
And then I hope it's not too controversial. I think OnlyFans, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, these
Shit, we're
days.
gonna have to circle back around to that on another
Yeah.
episode. Then,
That's fine.
what's your red flag?
In me,
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably have a little bit of like anger issues, but not in like a violent way. Just like just like I don't know. I probably can't communicate my anger. I can just like communicate it in a different way.
But it's like it's not threatening. So it's like
No, I'm
yeah,
not threatening. I'm not
yeah.
threatening because I'm too old for that. But it's just like it's not fun to be around. Let's just say
well,
because maybe I'm a little bit of a bully. Yeah,
Mhm.
but like my red flags in men, if you don't pay the bill, that's a red flag. If you don't have your own car, that's a red flag. Like it's and I feel like yeah, if you don't have your own car, you don't have your own place, you don't pay the bill, and if you don't like your mom,
Oh yeah.
like
That
if
is
you're
so
not like
hard.
if you don't love your mom, we're gonna have problems. You know.
Well, I mean, that's definitely. I hadn't even thought about that. That's
That's a
actually
big
good.
one,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good, yeah,
You have to have a
yeah.
good relationship
Your
with their
family,
mom
yeah.
because that's how they treat you.
It's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's been another episode.
Wait,
of
bitch!
Tacos-
I didn't even get to say my red flags.
Oh, that's right. We had to circle back around to you.
Yes. Okay. Wait. So my personal red flag, I would say, is like I get attached like very quickly.
So would you
And-
beg a man to be with you?
Fuck no. Like I've learned how to. I used to. Yes.
Okay.
Will I beg them anymore? No. But do I get attached to like wanting to be around them all the time? Yes. Like I just like being in his presence, if that makes sense. But like the 3 red flags that I would like see in a guy that would be a immediately no is like a white lie. Because if you tell a white lie, that means you lie about a lot of other stuff. And if I catch you in the white lie and then you try to gaslight me and then manipulate me into being, oh, like you're just making it up or that didn't happen, or like complete red flag for sure. The second one is if they're constantly like, oh, well, I'm not jealous and I'm not this, and like always saying what they're not, I feel like you're projecting what you really are. You know what I'm saying? Like people that project, that's like another red flag. And then if you're always saying that your exes are crazy, like if you're always saying that you've always been like the innocent one and they've always fucked you over and they were always crazy, it's usually the other way around.
Yeah, and last one is if you have multiple baby moms. That's a red
Oh, yeah,
flag.
that's not
Oh.
even, yeah. If you have that, I don't even want to talk to you.
That's
Right.
a DQ.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
What about you?
My biggest red flag is I'm very indifferent. That has been the biggest complaint I've had from all of my past relationships, and it's not even really indifference. It's a passing indifference. Like I do care when you bring something
He's
up
just
to
passive aggressive.
when you bring something
Me
up
too.
to my attention, then I'll care about it, right? But up until you say something, if you don't communicate it, over my head.
Mm.
3 red flags. Dental hygiene, mouth. You gotta have. This has got to be taken care of.
Mm.
Your nails, both hands and your feet, and empathy. If you lack empathy in general, I'm just not fucking with you.
I also think for Pisces, the guy I'm talking to is also a Pisces. I think it's a very common trait that you guys like. If the other person doesn't communicate to you, it just goes right over your head. Because there's things that I'll say to him, and it's just like, oh shit, you're right. Like I didn't even realize that, and it's like it went right over his head. You know, that's just funny.
Yeah, maybe that is a common trait between
Yeah.
Pisces, but unless you say something, I'm just gonna go by the wayside, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I'm also just an asshole. Unfortunately, most people don't actually like me. So let's wrap up this episode. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate the perspective that you guys brought today. And that's it. That's another episode of Tacos and Trauma. Thanks.
Hey.